subscribe to James the Sheriff Dixon, you motherfucker.
This is Fun Times with the Sheriff, Season 4, Episode 4. I got my cousin Brent back on. You want to say hi?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So tonight we're going to be talking Patrick Stewart movies.
Yep, another native-born Michigander, just like that last guy I talked about. Love this dude.
You mean Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, I'm joking too, by the way. Patrick's from overseas, across the pond, as they say.
Yep. And you were just telling me he was a knight, and I did not know that beforehand.
Yep, he is a knight. He was knighted. I don't know exactly when or for what deed, but he's a very, very successful actor. He had a very long, storied career. He's a great dude, as far as I can tell. He's the one actor alive that, people ask that question: who's an actor that you'd like to meet, living or dead? And then my answer always is, first and foremost, Patrick Stewart is the one living actor I would give anything to just run into that guy at a bar and be like, "Hey, man, you want a beer?"
And you said you've seen the Star Trek shows. I've only seen the movies, which he's also in. Do you want to start off with that?
Yeah, so he was the captain. He played Captain Jean-Luc Picard in the Next Generation series of Star Trek, the television series, which actually one of the most prominent memories I have with my father as a small child was Sunday mornings we'd go to church and we'd come home and we watch Star Trek, the Next Generation, and then American Gladiators. But yeah, so the Next Generation television series ran from 87, which is the year I was born, to 1994. And then they had 4 movies based on that generation of Star Trek.
Yeah, and I've only seen the movies because I was more of a Stargate / X-Files fan compared to like Star Trek or whatever.
Right on. Yeah, no, it's not definitely. I mean, there's a whole culture surrounding like Star Trek versus Star Wars versus Battlestar versus blah 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 blah. What's your sci-fi of poison, essentially? But it's largely due to my dad's influence that so a lot of people that are Star Trek nerds definitely have seen like the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and stuff like that. And then there's even another whole sect of Star Trek fans that only like the original series with Shatner.
The 60s one. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, with Bill Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and all those guys. I watched it maybe once or twice, but I never really got as into it as I was with the Next Generation Star Trek. It's really cool to see Patrick Stewart's character develop from like an angry, blustery, fucking bigot of a captain into like the gentle and like calming personality that he becomes when he gets to the movies.
Yeah.
Because like the first 2 seasons of the Next Generation, the dude is just a prick. Like he hates Wesley Crusher, he hates children. He kind of seems like he's reluctant to be the captain of the Federation's flagship, which is the Galaxy class Enterprise.
Is that the one where the meme comes where he has his he's rubbing his forehead?
Yeah, that's I can't remember what season that's in, but it's funny because it's a crazy cool transformation. See, he was an old man when he started in '87 as Picard, and now we're here in 2022 and he's making a television series based on that character called Picard, which is on Paramount.
Yep.
And that was also an amazing portrayal, and it's kind of like the last Next Generation film, which was Nemesis. It ended on like a really sad note, and then it was interesting to see that the series kind of picked up like 10-15 years after that, and how he was still severely affected by the crew member that they lost in that last movie and everything. So no, I have nothing but good things to say about his presence in the Star Trek series. Like it almost seemed like it was just something he was doing to do when he first started in the Next Generation television series, and he really grew into the role, and like he was able to advance that character's personality.
Yeah. So if you want to, we can switch over to the X-Men movies. You talked about him being old after that first show.
Yeah.
Logan, what were your thoughts on that?
It's kind of crazy to see the depth of his abilities in that movie, because even in the first 4, I want to say that timeline of X-Men, the first 4 movies, he was like the consummate like sage. Like he was the person everybody came to when they needed advice. He ran the school. Charles Xavier School for Gifted Children or whatever the hell it was called.
Yep.
And so like he was like the patriarch of this underground society that helped to try and protect and educate children. And again, that's like a leadership role where he had a lot of compassion and understanding for different people and whatnot. And then in Logan, it's a huge time jump from the last time he portrays Professor Xavier in the third or fourth whatever X-Men movie it was, to where he's just old, like he's losing his grip on reality, like having some kind of mental, like, I don't know, they didn't really say.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, but he was just basically, his mind was falling apart just because of his age. And cool to see Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
It's cool to see Hugh Jackman kind of at the same time, like, he's had that metal in his bones for over 100 years, and it's actually catching up with him. Like it's taken 100 years of metal being in his body for it to actually start poisoning him. But oh boy, this guy actually has a fucking weakness. But no, it's just like, it shows again the growth of his ability as an actor. Patrick Stewart, switching back, kind of jackknifing back and forth, but it shows that he was able to play like that sound personality or sound state of mind, educating children, and then just to show like, oh, now mutants are illegal and we've been hiding for so long, and that might have something to do with it, but he's literally just losing his fucking mind.
Which I'm hoping they bring him back too when Logan gets introduced to Deadpool, because Hugh Jackman's coming back for Deadpool 3.
Well, that was one of the one-liners in which Deadpool is completely full of one-liners. But one of the one-liners that really tickled me was when Colossus was taking him to he's like, we're going to the mansion, and he's like, is it McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing. Because they keep switching between young Xavier and old Xavier, yeah.
And then in the later movies, they just had them like both in at like certain points of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't really keep up with the X-Men franchise so much after the Days of Future Past or whatever. Like I was really let down by the Dark Phoenix movie. I tried watching it like 10 times. I cannot get interested in this fucking movie.
I was gonna ask you after this. Other than Logan, what would be your favorite like X-Men movie? Because I was gonna pick First Class with the Rise of Magneto or whatever.
Yeah, I like the third one where it was like they had that big fucking war at the the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. I just thought it was pretty cool. I like that scene specifically. I really like the first one where they did that giant fucking we're gonna make the world. No, the first X-Men movie where he's like, we're gonna mutinify the world, and like they turned that one guy turned into jelly water or whatever. I thought that was just for visual effects wise, I thought that was really interesting. It was something that hadn't really been seen up until that point. So, but yeah, also I'm a big fan of like the originals of a franchise.
Then I'm just gonna say you also have some thoughts on hitting in the latest Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, I watched it. Well, I mean, I didn't really watch it so much as I took the kids to the theater and kind of slept after I shoved all that popcorn into my mouth. But it was interesting. I was a huge Scarlet Witch supporter. Right up until the time that she killed Patrick Stewart's character in that movie, and now I literally don't think I could meet Catherine Olsen without punching her right in her fucking mouth.
You mean Elizabeth Olsen?
Or Elizabeth Olsen, sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I called her Catherine. I wanted to call her Karen Olsen because she's a fucking Karen with the way she executes my favorite actor.
Then I realized, they're going to try to find those other universe characters in our world on that. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, like, right?
Yeah. It's a whole multiverse theory thing. But the thing is, it's just like, dude, you can't fucking hurt Patrick Stewart and remain like a figure of like import in my mind. It's like as soon as you hurt Patrick Stewart, you become a terrible person. That's why I fucking hate Romulans. They're a fictional race of fucking aliens that don't actually exist. But like, if I ever go to a Comic-Con and see people dressed up like Romulans, I'll be like, fuck those guys.
And then then we can go on to his voice acting career. You said he plays the Stan's boss in American Dad.
He absolutely does. Yeah, that's it's really cool because it's not something I would expect of him as a knighted person from England who's had a storied and long and tried and true career as an on-screen actor with the Star Trek franchise, with the X-Men franchise. It's not something you really see an A-list actor do, going to a B or a C-list like supporting cast member. You know what? I take that back actually, because Adam West was the mayor in Family Guy for until he died. Basically, he was still doing voice acting for that. One of my favorite tidbits of information about Patrick Stewart is the album from the movie A Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a Tim Burton vehicle.
Yep.
The CD, it's Patrick Stewart narrating at the very beginning, where he's like, "Long ago, blah 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 blah." It's Patrick Stewart's voice, but in the movie, it's somebody completely different. And it's like, I remember listening to the album with my kids. I'm like, "Holy shit, that's Patrick Stewart!" And then watching the movie, I'm like, "Holy shit, that's not Patrick Stewart. What the hell? Why would they change that?" And I don't know. There was some licensing, or I don't know what the hell it was. But honestly, I feel like he should narrate more. He narrates both of the intros to both of the Ted movies. I
was about to say, I'm looking at that on the IMDb thing here.
Yeah, with our boy Marky Mark, our Detroit native Mark. But yeah, no, he narrates the opening to both of those, where he's like, "The Apache attack helicopter is the most awesome vehicle. It is pure flying death." I can't do a good Patrick Stewart, but I love that he does these little nuanced, like off the beaten path things. Like he lends his voice to, honestly, this might make me sound a little bit racist, but I feel like he's the white Morgan Freeman. You know how like everybody wants Morgan Freeman to narrate their opening scenes or their cut scenes or anything. I just feel like he's the English version of Morgan Freeman, the white English version of Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman, of course, like he's oh my god, that guy's amazing with his voiceover work. In the movie Shawshank Redemption, he narrates basically through the whole film, and it's like, wow, this guy really has a powerful voice. Like, not only am I listening to what he's saying, but his voice has such character and depth to it that like I'm picturing what he's saying in my head, even though I'm watching the movie happen as he's saying it. But it's like when Patrick Stewart talks about the Apache attack helicopter, I'm like, man, I close my eyes, I can see an Apache attack helicopter in my mind's eye just because of the way he's describing it.
I'm looking at the list here. He was in the A Christmas Story movie. He played from 1999.
He was in A Christmas Story?
A Christmas Carol or whatever. That movie. I'm looking at his list right here. He played Scrooge.
Oh yeah! Holy crap! I can't believe I forgot about that. It's not one that I watch every year because I got kids, so we watch a lot of like the Rudolphs and the claymation shit. So, but that's gonna make it on the list this season for sure. Just because I love the man. Yeah. So I actually have a Next Generation movie era Starfleet officer uniform as a costume. Like, I've never gone to a con or anything, but I've worn it like for 2 years for Halloween. It was not cheap either.
Halloween is coming up in a few weeks at the time of recording this.
Yep. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it's I have to work, unfortunately. That's all I ever do is work and sleep. But it's I'll probably wear my uniform on the weekend or something. Take the kids around somewhere.
Then I'm also looking at the list. He was in the 1990s. He was in the 2007 TMNT movie.
Which one?
Apparently there's a 2007.
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yes, apparently there's a 2007 version, and he was in it with Chris Evans, and wow, a lot of people. Okay, yeah, I did not know this movie existed.
Oh, this is an animated feature. See, I didn't know that movie existed either, because I was thinking about the 2 live action ones they did recently.
Not like a sequel to that. I was like, oh no, it's not. There's like a bunch of like people in here.
Yeah, not the crazy ass one from like the 90s that was like those masks are horror masks now.
No, that's on my list of movies to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your Bad Movie Friday movies. Yeah. Those are.
So I think we covered everything.
I think so. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, I know he's done. This guy, he was in a Mel Brooks vehicle called Robin Hood Men in Tights. He played King Arthur. He had like a 5-minute cameo at the end of the movie, which was awesome. There's a television show of his that I'm not 100% familiar with. What is it?
And then I'm just looking
through Talk, I think.
I'm looking at this. He was in the movie Dune, apparently.
Oh, was he?
I know a lot of this has a like its own cliche, like a fans, like a small fan base or whatever.
Yeah, the movie A Million Ways to Die in the West, which is one of my favorite Seth MacFarlane vehicles. That was he was the voice of the sheep guardians in his dream sequence when he drops acid with all the Indians. He's like, "We are the guardians of the door," or whatever. Yeah, but no, again just these little
small roles.
Yeah, he was in an episode of Futurama. Let's see here.
And then
he does a lot of voice. One of my favorite things, honestly, because I am a big video game nerd, but he lent his voice to a ton of like Windows XP version Star Trek based games. Like there was Star Trek Legacy, there was Star Trek Armadas 1 and 2, there was Borg
it's his,
Wars.
Like, voice from the TV show is the guy's voice in the games, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he was one of the few leading characters from the Next Generation franchise who was willing to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, you guys are making a video game about the show? Shit, I can't wait to come in and read lines for it. Why the hell wouldn't I?
I was going to bring up one last movie before we close it out here. Have you seen the Emoji movie?
The Emoji Movie? No, I refuse to watch that on principle.
I kind of had to. I waited 3 years after I started my channel to watch it, and it was as bad as everyone says it is. And,
yeah.
Patrick Stewart stars in it for like 5 minutes or whatever screen time.
Another one of his little, I'm going to dip my toe in this fucking pool. I don't think, and honestly, the thing is like, I don't feel like he's the type of guy who does it for money.
Yeah.
I think it's like they come to him and say, hey man, you've got a crazy, like recognizable voice. We want to throw you in for 5 minutes. Would you mind doing it? And the dude's such a good guy. He's like, yeah, why not, man? If you think I've got the right voice for this part, why wouldn't I do it? So I don't know him. I don't know him personally. I would love to know him personally, but I feel like, oh, another thing, again, I'm sorry. We were talking about this before we started recording, but he did, during the pandemic and stuff, he was actually reading poetry through a multitude of social media outlets, which I thought was really cool. And then he was also like, when things started opening back up, he's like, hey, here I am having a fucking cup of tea in England. And, you know, everybody's like, hey, you can start letting your guard down a little bit. Get back out there. Don't be so afraid.
Yeah.
And he's also, his counterpart who plays Magneto is gay. And he's like a huge supporter of the LGBTQ community and everything else. So like, again, these are all things that like
he does. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes him seem like a really approachable and nice guy. Oh yeah, you're right. He was in the original Dune in '84. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just going through his film list right now. Sorry.
That's what I was just doing. So we're at that mark. Is there any last words you want to say? Anything you want to promote or anything?
Oh no! Again, like I said, if you need bolts for engines, I'm your guy. But I'm super happy that you wanted me to come on for this one because this is my favorite living actor right now. I've got a personal connection to his character in Star Trek from when I was a kid. Like my parents got divorced when I was like 6 years old. But one of the only things I remember about like before they were divorced was hanging out with my dad after church on Sundays, watching this show with him. So it's like I'm kind of drawn to him for that. He was fucking hilarious in that Mel Brooks movie. He's got a great, solid voice that you can pick out of a crowd. He's honestly, if you've never watched Patrick Stewart movies, I don't know if you want to look into him based on his name, but like you might want to kind of look into his name, go through his film list, and see what hits your interest. Because
gander at it.
I would say he's primarily a sci-fi actor, but he's kind of all over the board. There's a little bit of Patrick for everybody, so definitely look into him. I love the guy.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem, man. You couldn't have asked me for a better guy to talk about. Because maybe Gene Wilder, if you ever just did want to discuss Gene Wilder, but he's been dead for a while, so. I don't know.
Right. I just want to shout out an amazing channel, James the Sheriff Dixon. Oh, he's such a great guy, and he is super cool for coming to the show. I'm glad I got to meet him in person, and you should subscribe.